Welcome to the Paper Crafters Library and Sunny Stampin' Studios. In this video, I want to show you a fun new product we've just brought into the Sunny Stampin' store. Some silver cap test tubes in 2 different sizes. I'm then going to share a video tutorial for this cute Christmas project you see here that uses these test tubes. And then finally, I'm going to tell you how you can enter to win a set of 12 test tubes in the 2 different sizes. First off, let me show you the test tubes themselves. They're made out of a clear plastic with this screw-on silver cap. So you just twist it to take it off and then put it on again. And you can see here near the top, the plastic tube is slightly threaded so that you can screw these silver caps on. Now they're both 3/4 of an inch in diameter, and as you can see here we have 2 different sizes. There's this one which is 4 inches high, and we sell this in the Sunny Stampin' store for $1.50 Canadian each. And then we have this one which is 6 inches tall, which we sell for $1.75 Canadian each. Now we do sell internationally, of course. There's just shipping on top of the individual test tube prices. And we sell these individually, so you can buy as many or as few as you need. Now I absolutely fell in love with these test tubes because there's so much that you can do with them and so many different ways to incorporate them into a project. Here's a quick tutorial for you using the 4-inch test tubes. It's a little holiday treat holder which I thought would make a perfect table favor for Christmas dinner. Or if you just change up the decorations, you can really use it for any theme at all. So here I have a 4 by 8.5 inch piece of patterned paper, and this is from the Imaginist Polar Expressions collection. Now, if you're choosing a pattern of paper that is directional, then you do want to make sure that the pattern, or the top, what would be classified as the top of the pattern, is going to be rotated towards the left. And here I'm working on my Martha Stewart scoreboard. I'm then going to take the good side of my pattern, or what I want to show on the outside, flip it over so I'm looking at the inside of the pattern paper. I'm then going to score it at 1/2 inch, 2 inches, 4.5 inches, and 6 inches. Now that it's scored, my next step is to take my bone folder and to crease along all of my score lines. Now if you look at this piece, this is what it's going to look like when it's creased, and it's going to be assembled like this. So this little flap is going to stick to the inside of this 2.5 inch high flap. Now, this 1.5 inch wide flap that's adjacent to this little one, this is the one where we're going to be punching our holes. So to start off with, I'm using an acrylic graph ruler, and I'm measuring up 3/4 of an inch from the score line and drawing a pencil mark going all the way across the center. Then I'm going to measure the exact center point, which is 2 inches, and place a little mark, and then I'm going to measure in 13/16 of an inch from either side. So I've now made 3 pencil marks which denote what the center point of my hole is going to be. Now I'm going to be using a 3/4 inch circle punch, and I'm just going to punch a hole out of a scrap piece of cardstock and use that as a template. So I'm going to position it so that my pencil mark is at the very center, and then I'm just going to draw the inside there. So I've traced a circle pattern, and I'm going to do that for the remaining 2 pencil points. And then at this point, it's also just helpful to take your ruler and make sure that the tops of your circles align. So here you can see what my 3 circles now look like. So I'm going to take my 3/4 of an inch circle punch, and I've got it so that the window's facing me, and I'm aligning the circle that I traced inside the window, and I'm punching it out. And I'm going to do that for both the outer circles. Now for the inner circle, when I slide my 3/4 of an inch circle punch in, it doesn't quite go far enough. It's just a little bit off. So for that one, I'm going to take this small flap, I'm going to fold it in, and then I'm going to slide it into my circle punch, so that when I punch out my circle, you will end up with this little notch here, but that's not critical because it's going to be hidden when we tape this to the other side. So here you can see what this piece now looks like. So in order to stick this closed, I'm going to be using some red liner tape, a super sticky tape, which we also carry in the Sunny Stampin' store. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to align it just close to the edge of the fold line of this small flap. I'm then going to just cut that, press it down. I'm peeling off the backing, and then I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to align this score line with this edge and stick the two pieces together. So there you can see what that now looks like. So we have the frame of our little treat holder here. So my next step is to prepare my tag that I'm going to be using to embellish my little treat holder. So here I have die cut this little almost like a scalloped circle shape out of this set of Spellbinders Nestabilities, and it's the Ironwork Motifs set. And I used my Spellbinders Grand Caliber. The pattern paper I used is another one from the Imaginist Polar Expressions collection. I want to glitter the whole thing using my Martha Stewart Crystal Fine Glitter. So to do that, here I've got a popsicle stick with a Stampin' Dimensional I've placed on it. And I've just placed the Stampin' Dimensional so that it will hold this scalloped piece so that I can glue the whole surface without getting my fingers sticky. Now to apply my glitter, I'm going to be using my Sukaneko it's called the Essential Glue Pad, and it's a heatless way of applying glitter to projects. So it's just going to coat my die cut piece with an adhesive, a nice even layer, and allow me to sprinkle the glitter on top. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just pressing it onto my glue pad so that it gets completely covered in this glue. I'm then going to let it sit for just a few seconds. So I've let this sit for a few seconds, and as you can see here, I've also put a Stampin' Dimensional or dimensional foam at the center of the snowflake, and I've kept the protective backing on it. And that's just so that I can stick my center embellishment piece without it getting covered in glitter, because if you cover the whole snowflake in the glitter, then the Stampin' Dimensional to hold the centerpiece is not going to stick as well to the glittered surface. So essentially it's just to protect that adhesive and keep it from all getting glittered. So I'm just going to hold it over my coffee filter and I'm going to sprinkle on my Martha Stewart Crystal Fine Glitter. I'm then going to tap it off and just give it a little flick to get rid of the excess, and you can see I've now glittered the entire die cut piece. So I'm now going to set this aside to dry while I work on the centerpiece. So for my centerpiece, I've taken another pattern of paper from that same Polar Expressions collection, and you can see this pattern has these little circular elements with designs. So I simply took a 7/8 of an inch circle punch, I centered it around the design of my choice, so you just hold it with the window facing upwards, and then punched it out. I then took a piece of cherry cobbler cardstock and I punched it out using a 1-inch circle. So now I'm going to take a Stampin' Dimensional and I'm going to layer my punched out decorative element to my cardstock circle. Now if you don't have a pattern paper from which you can punch out a decorative element, you can very easily use a sticker or simply stamp this. Now here I have my glittered snowflake, and I've already removed the backing from the Stampin' Dimensional off of that dimensional there, so I can just take my decorative element and I can center and stick it onto my glittered snowflake. So we're now ready to assemble the whole thing. So first off, I'm going to take my 4-inch test tubes, which you can see here I've filled with some candy, and I'm going to insert them into this little paper holder that I created. And because I punched my hole the same size as the test tube, you just have to insert it slowly. I didn't want there to be too much give, and have the test tubes jiggle around too much, which is why I kept the diameter of the circle the same as the diameter of the test tube. So as you're inserting it, you just want to make sure that you have your hand on the underside of the paper so that you don't bend it or fold it inwards, and just provide support as you insert your test tube. Now this pattern paper that I used is almost like a cardstock weight pattern paper, so it's nice and heavy. If your pattern paper is lighter or flimsier, or just folding it you don't feel like you can have it sturdy enough to stand on its own, you could then create the frame out of cardstock and you could just embellish it with pattern paper. So here you can see I now have my 3 test tubes inserted, and this is what it looks like from the side, and you can see how it just sits really nicely. Now I've cut myself a 20-inch piece of this Cherry Cobbler 1 1/4 inch grosgrain ribbon, and I'm laying my holder at the center of this ribbon, and then I'm just going to take this ribbon and very carefully tie it in a knot. Now you just want to be careful that as you're doing this you don't tie it too tight, because otherwise you can crush the patterned paper holder that you created. So there you can see what that now looks like. I've got it wrapped around from behind. My next step is to take a piece of silver elastic cord, and this was just a remnant I had in my scrap jar, and I'm inserting one end of it through this little snowflake tag that I created, or snowflake shaped tag, and then I'm going to take my silver cord and I'm going to tie it in a bow around the knot of my Cherry Cobbler striped grosgrain ribbon. And you just need to adjust the bow to the desired size. So there you can see what that now looks like. So my next step is to take my ribbon scissors, and I want to cut the ribbon ends on an angle like so. Now in order to keep the ends of the ribbon from fraying, I'm going to take a little bit of my Ranger Glossy Accents and squeeze some onto my finger. So there you can see I have this little dollop of glue. I'm then going to very carefully just lightly drag that along the end of my ribbon. And I'm just kind of patting it to the cut edge. And then I'm just going to rotate this and do this on the other side. And then you just let that dry, and that will keep the ribbon ends from fraying. So there you can see what our finished little test tube treat holder now looks like. Now here's an example of another project we've made using the 4-inch test tubes. It's another little holder, but this time it has a handle in the center, and it'll nice and snugly fit 4 test tubes. So you see they don't really shake around. And it's just embellished simply on the front, and then it has this bow with this beautiful little crystal snowflake hanging. It makes a cute little hostess gift or a little coworker gift. And then here you can see an example of how we used the 6-inch tall test tubes. It's a cute hot chocolate for 2 kit, and the test tube slides in here when you open up the ribbon. And then open up this little portfolio. You can see it holds these 2 hot chocolate packets, and then you would just slide out the test tube and pour in the marshmallows to your hot chocolate. Now we have a video tutorial for the last 2 projects I just showed you available in our video library for our Paper Crafters Library members. Now, if you've never heard of Paper Crafters Library, then you'll definitely want to check it out. It's the most comprehensive library of paper crafting video tutorials currently on the web. We have over 700 videos, and we add 4 to 5 videos every week. These videos range from the absolute beginner to the advanced paper crafter. We have tons of technique videos, as well as completed projects such as cards, scrapbooks, mini albums, 3D items and gifts, altered art, and even some mixed media. If you visit our blog and then click on the video library link at the top, you can see exactly what we have in the library, as well as check out some of our free videos, of which we have quite a few. Okay, so last thing for this video, how do you enter to win this set of test tubes? We're giving away a set of these 6-inch tall test tubes with the silver screw-on cap, and then a set of 6 of the 4-inch tall test tubes with the silver cap. So for a total of 12 test tubes. Now all you have to do to enter is to visit our blog and leave us a comment in the comments section of the post you see here. If you're watching this video from somewhere other than our blog, there'll be a link in the video description section which will take you directly to this blog post. Winners will be announced on our blog on Friday, December the 9th. See you on the blog.